Hello. All right, my friends, today we're talking about tricep, the muscle located in the posterior part of the humerus. I'm just going to give you a little overview of the theory, structure, function, and then straight to how you can train it, how you can make it stronger. You may ask, why would I worry about my triceps so much apart from the aesthetic part because it looks good? Think of all the people that have injuries in the lower limb, whether it's ankle, knee pain, hip pain. So when they try to get up from the sitting position to standing, you would then depend on your arms to push you off the chair so you can come up. Okay. So just think of that you're doing yourself a great service by training your tricep and making sure that your arms stay strong. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't watched any of my videos, I'm Anna. I'm a Pilates and mobility coach and osteopathy trainee. And on this channel, I'm sharing tips and information about how can we stave off injuries, age well, and be able to physically do things that we want to do for as long as possible until the last decades of our life. The tricep is a group of 3 different parts. So we've got 3 heads: a long head of the tricep that attaches to the scapula, a lateral head, which is the biggest, thickest one. Again, it starts from the posterior humerus, goes all the way to the elbow in here, and medial head. The main action of the tricep is extension of the elbow. In fact, it also has a role in stabilization of the shoulder joint in this position, preventing inferior displacement of the humeral head. Think of movements as well as abduction and extension of the shoulder. That's where the long head of the tricep will be involved. Bear in mind that in terms of training, not all 3 work at the same time. So if you want to get the biggest gains of the tricep, you would work ideally through a full range of motion. Another important point is that the lateral and the long head of the tricep, so 2 most important of the 3, or will be active only when working against resistance. Just doing random things with your arms, even houseworks, like we don't really get as much tricep activation as we get the bicep. In fact, in a resting state position, the bicep is actually overpowering the tricep. So when it comes to healthy function of the elbow and shoulder, you want to make sure that you train tricep so it can work in opposition to the bicep. Okay, so we talk about balance forces across the joint. So that's it for theory, guys. Let's move on to the drill. We're going to cover things that you can do easily at home. Okay, let's begin with isolation drills. So we're focusing purely on the elbow movement from flexion to extension. And the first one, it will be supine tricep extensions. So very accessible drill for pretty much everyone. You start on your back with a dumbbell in your hand. I'm using a 3 kg for this one, and notice how I'm just simply flexing and extending through the elbow. And position is pretty advantageous to work on the tricep, as the fibers of the tricep are already in a slightly lengthened position, so you will get a lot out of this. And the most important bit, in my opinion, is to work with the pacing. So I'm lowering down for 2 and then straightening for 2. And in a moment, you'll see how I'm changing the pace. So I'm using 2 down, 2 up count for a warm-up. You may do about 10 rounds, and then I will switch it up. So then lowering phase will last longer. I will lower for 3 counts and then extend on 1. Make the extension a little bit more dynamic. After 10 rounds of that second pace, I will move on to singles, where I flex and extend as fast as I can, but without compromising the form. So notice I don't want the elbow to swing or to the nose and to the chest, to the nose to the chest. My shoulder stays in the same position. I'm really isolating to the elbow purely. Again, wonderful drill that I do with a lot of clients who cannot really reach overhead or don't have access to the gym. And here is just a variation with 2 dumbbells, heavier ones. And here's just a progression, combining tricep extensions with a bit of a chest press, with elbows staying quite close to the rib cage, sort of in line with the shoulders. All right, next one, band assisted triceps kickbacks. Again, very accessible position. Probably a little more challenging because it requires stability through the torso and through the shoulder, the supporting shoulder. You're using a medium resistance band, and again, it's still a kickback, it's still tricep extension. Notice the difference that the shoulder is now in neutral. And here's the adaptation. If you cannot kneel or your wrist is hurting, you can do it on your back. And again, just in terms of simply keep the shoulder and upper arm adducted, tucked in, close to the ribs, close to the waist. And some variations, you can still do it standing if kneeling or supine doesn't work, using a dumbbell, or you can do doubles. And now going to the compound movements. First, narrow push-up. We call it narrow just because instead of having hands wider, where we're trying to work the pecs, we are trying to keep elbows a little bit more adducted. So we'll be going through adduction and extension through the shoulder and extension in the elbow, which means the tricep will be doing all the things, right? And we also will be affecting all three heads. And if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you are new to this or you're happy with some modifications. Maybe you're having some injuries. So here's one variation. You can use a target like block 2 or 3 or a ball and doing the push-up with your knees on the ground. Having the elbows tucked in will be a little bit tougher for the tricep. And a little tip, think of your chest going forwards towards your fingertips or towards your thumbs. You should have a sensation of falling forwards. Alright guys, final compound drill, tricep dips at home variation. We're using edge of the sofa. You can use a chair, you can use a table. This will be the hardest one. So think of sliding your pelvis down to the edge of the sofa. You don't want to go too far forwards because we don't want to create too much extension in the shoulder. We don't want to affect the bicep too much. Just thinking of elbow flexing, again, trying to go as deep as possible sustainably. And you can progress this by straightening your legs. This is your variation. So if you can't do full dips, if it's uncomfortable, this is where you can start kind of leaning forwards. You can even take your legs up for a ride and then kind of let the triceps stop you from falling onto your back. Medium variation will be to do little dips on the ground, with hands on the floor, if that's okay, or hands on the blocks, with feet, knees bent and feet on the floor. And if this is too much for your wrists, so use the blocks, curl your fingers around the edges. It will reduce pressure on the wrists. Okay, so the closer your feet are to the sit bones, the easier it will be on the tricep. If you move your feet away or you straighten the legs, it will get much more challenging. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful. It will really help my channel if you share it with your friends, if you know someone who may need it. Now, in the meantime, if you would like to do a little flow to support your upper body, get a bit of definition, do this flow that I taught a while ago online for my clients. See you in next videos. Ciao.